One of my favorite authors and philanthropists is James Baldwin. Raise your hand if you've heard the name James Baldwin. If you have not, don't worry. That's why we're here. We're here to learn, right? So you can read about him. James Baldwin said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." For many years, I have called Lexington, Kentucky home, and I have made plenty of fond memories in this city with lifetime friends, many that are here today, some that I have not seen since high school. I moved here as a young teenager from Chicago, Illinois, and for the first time, I saw and experienced racism. My mother, who is here today, may not remember this, but I do quite vividly. We were moving from Chicago to Lexington, and as we passed the lush green trees, the perfectly manicured farms, I rolled down my window and inhaled deeply, and it was the first time that I smelled trees. You probably thought I was going to say horse manure. But as I enjoyed this sweet fragrance of the green landscape before me, looking forward to a new life, new friends, I was reminded that even amongst so much beauty, there was plenty of ugly and darkness among the light. It was a quick glance, but I know what I saw. As we came down the highway, a few feet in a grassy area stood three men dressed in all white robes, pointed hats. At first, I didn't think what I saw was real. I remember seeing these images and hearing about these men, but I never thought I would see them in person. They were just black and white photos in history books, right? That's what I thought. I was not ignorant to the fact that such terrorist organizations, like the Ku Klux Klan, like other white supremacist organizations, existed. I felt a rage inside of me. No fear, a rage. Because I remember the stories from my grandfather about how the police, which back then wore white robes instead of badges, ran my great-grandfather out of town after a white man got angry because my great-grandfather beat him in a card game, sparking a fight. My grandfather not only won the card game, but he also won the fight. But it came at a cost: his safety and the safety of his family. He knew that a mob would show up to his home to lynch, castrate, or shoot him to death, so he escaped to Chicago on a freight train. And the irony of my great-grandfather's story is that as one white man chased him down to take his life, another white man helped him escape with it by getting him to that freight train. The ability for this white man to see the injustice against my great-grandfather and decide to do something about it is an example of taking a stance against bigots. His willingness to acknowledge racism, coupled with my great-grandfather's bravery, are the reason I am here. Had my great-grandfather been captured by the primitive men looking for him in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, I would not be standing here with you today. If we are going to truly walk forward out of the dark history and lingering remnants of slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, police brutality, then we must be willing to get uncomfortable. We must be willing to see the ugly. It is not enough to say racism is wrong when you see it or hear it. It is not enough to be nice or tolerate Black people to combat racism. As friendly and as welcoming and pretty as Lexington is, friendly racism is still racism. That's right. You have to be willing to make the same sacrifice that we have in this fight. Our lives, our jobs, our friendships, and in some cases, our family members. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "If you are silent in times of injustice, then you have sided with the oppressor." So you cannot stand with us and still ignore the racist rhetoric and actions, direct or indirect. You cannot stand with us if you secretly support this current administration in the Oval Office, all because of a great economy.
That's right. Say that.
A great economy for who exactly? Because right now, 16.8% of black people in this country are unemployed. Despite all the accolades that Ravi mentioned, my master's degree from one of the top universities in the country, Johns Hopkins University, despite me standing next to Nancy Pelosi on Capitol Hill and appearing on national networks across the country, I will still more than likely make 39% less than a white man and 21% less than a white woman. How can you call yourself a feminist fighting for women when black women were left behind in the right to vote and have yet to even catch up to you with equal pay? Am I not a woman?
That's right. Say that.
If these comments make you uncomfortable, then perhaps you're at the wrong rally.
Oh, God.
Because I am not here to spare your feelings. And I am quite okay with being an angry black woman. Why? Because I am angry. It should be noted that the outrage you see amongst black people is not just a result of the murder of George Floyd. It is the anger. For every time we're denied an opportunity because of the color of our skin, focus here on me, please. It is the anger for every time we were followed while shopping. It is the anger of being asked, do you live here? It is the anger of being told to change our hair because our braids or our kinky mane is unprofessional.
That's right.
It is the anger of being served second when you were there first. It is the anger for enjoying your music and being shot for it, Jordan Davis. Is the anger for being pulled over for failing to use a turn signal only to end up dead, Sandra Bland. It is the anger for our 12-year-old sons playing outside with a toy gun only to be shot to death by the police, Tamir Rice. It is the anger for saying I can't breathe and still being choked to death. Anyway, Eric Gardner. It is the anger for looking out your own window to see who is lurking around your home and being killed for it, Tatiana Jefferson. It is the anger for complying with police and being shot to death in your car while your girlfriend and child are screaming, Philando Castile. It is the anger of being killed while sleeping in your own bed and being shot 8 times by the police, only for them to file a false police report that you suffered no injuries. Meanwhile, you are dead 6 feet under. Say her name, Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor.
So yes, we are angry, but be thankful that we are only seeking justice and equality for our anger and not revenge. Now you may think that anger prevents black people like me from working together with other races to achieve equal treatment and equal opportunity. But that is a lie that this country has perpetuated to keep us, black, brown, and white, apart. Before Fred Hampton, a revolutionary leader of the Black Panther Party, was assassinated by the Chicago Police Department with the help of the FBI under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover.
Say that.
He was actually working with white people from the Appalachia, people from Eastern Kentucky. The Panthers, the Black Panthers that you have been told were a radical organization looking to kill white people, was working with people from the Appalachia. Because while their skin color may have been different, their mission was the same.
Hello.
But let history tell it, they were just a bunch of radicals, right? Prior to the murder of Heather Heyer, a white woman killed in Charlottesville while protesting against the infestation of neo-Nazis, there was another white woman, Viola Liuzzo, killed in 1965 by white supremacists because she participated in marches from Selma to Montgomery and helped to organize civil rights protests. Jonathan Daniels, another white man, died while shielding a black teenage girl who was fired at with a shotgun. These people do not make history books for a reason, nor does the true history of African Americans, because the system is designed to keep us from coming together to continue its plan of systemic racism. So you hear that that the system is broken. No, it's not. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do.
Yeah. You right? Tell it.
But just like we, black people, we cannot allow our pain to define us. White people, you cannot allow your guilt to silence you. We must turn our pain into power, our guilt into action. Because guilt is a product of pain, but power is the result of action. Now, how many of you all here today remember learning your vows in elementary school? I hope you all know your vows. All right. So we know our vows are what? Let's say it out loud. A-E-I-O-U. Right. And sometimes what? Exactly. So today as we go from here, let us remember our vows, but let's make them stand for something. A, be active like you are today. Be active. Active does not necessarily mean just protesting in the streets. Some of us are not meant to be on the front lines of this revolution. Some of us need to be in the back, working on legislation and letters to members of Congress and Senate and to our police commissioners. Educate yourselves. We are not going to be able to kill this monster of police brutality unless we educate ourselves. There's a lot of calls right now for us to defund the police, but it doesn't start with defunding the police. Military tanks did not roll up on Tamir Rice.
Okay.
George Floyd did not die because somebody used a military-style weapon on him. It starts with the Police Bill of Rights. It starts with the police unions because they provide additional protections to the police that allows them to get away with the brutality that you are seeing.
Right. That's right.
Inclusive. What Ravi, his wife, and Eric have brought here today is an inclusive environment, meaning that we have to have white, brown, and black together. There is a place. I told you the names of people that look like some of you that were a part of this. There is a place for you here. Be organized, be unified, and the why, the sometimes why, the why is for you. You have to be the A, the E, the I, the O, and the U in all of this. And lastly, to my brothers and sisters that look like me, be empowered. Be empowered. Remember who you are. Goody Mob said, yes, I said Goody Mob. Goody Mob said, some of y'all disrespect yourselves because you don't know who you are in the first place. It is time for you to find your truth. Because what we learned about ourselves in elementary, middle, high school, and college was purposely designed to make us feel inferior. Do not feel defeated. Do not hold your head down and be ashamed of your melanated skin, your kinky hair, your wide nose, your naturally full lips. Don't be ashamed of your culture. We are the most resilient people in the world. We are strong. We are conquerors. We are warriors. Why? Because look at who we come from. And I'm not talking about your mom and dad, your grandfather, your grandmother. Think about your ancestors. Think about how strong they had to be to survive the Middle Passage. Think about how strong your ancestors had to be to survive the Underground Railroad. Think about how strong your ancestors had to be to survive the Jim Crow South. Think about how strong your elders had to be to face death just to attend a white school. Think about how strong the protesters who marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge despite seeing the shotguns of law enforcement aimed at them. And they marched across anyway. They have never been able to silence our voice. They have never been able to kill our purpose. Why? Because even in the face of death, unafraid, we will continue to march. Thank you.
Give it up. Powerful.
Thank you.
Let that sit for a second.